The symbolism, logic, and meaning of justifiable homicide in the 1980s. Where there is no vision, the people will perish. Proverbs 22:1. Black people are afraid, but black people are going to have to get over their fear. Black people do not know what is happening, but black people are going to have to learn and understand what is happening. Black people are not thinking, but black people are going to have to begin thinking. Black people are not being quiet, but black people are going to have to start getting quiet so they can think. Black people are not analyzing and planning, but black people are going to have to begin analyzing and planning. Black people do not understand deep self-respect, but black people are going to have to learn the meaning and practice of deep self-respect. Black people are going to have to stop permitting black children to play with parenthood. Black people are going to have to stop moaning, rocking, crying, complaining, and begging. Black people are going to have to stop thinking that rhyme and rhetoric will solve problems. Black people are going to have to stop finger popping and singing. Black people are going to have to stop dancing and clowning. Black people are going to have to stop laughing and listening to loud radios. All of these behaviors and many more have absolutely nothing to do with addressing the challenges and conditions of the open warfare continuously being waged against the black collective. We black people do not see the war being waged against us because we don't want to, and because we are afraid. We are engaging in behavior designed specifically to block out any awareness of the war, our true reality. Our behavior thus forces us into the insanity of hoping and begging, as opposed to the sanity of analysis, specific behavioral pattern design, and specific conduct in all areas of people, activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. A major strategy in the war against the black collective is the killing of black males. Black males are being killed daily, in ever-increasing numbers across the country. Other as non-white males also are being killed in ever-increasing numbers. These black and other non-white males are being killed by white males in uniforms who have been authorized to carry guns. This particular form of murder and slaughter is called justifiable homicide. Our black collective today has no greater understanding of this war and the phenomenon of justifiable homicide than it did when black males were being lynched and castrated daily 100 years ago in the period of Reconstruction or reestablishment of white supremacy following the Civil War. Nor does the black collective have a greater understanding of the current open hunting season on black males than it did 2 and 3 decades ago. Because we really do not understand what is going on, in our impotence and ignorance, in our powerlessness and frustration, we start getting mad, fussing, crying, rhyming, begging, with picket signs, rioting in misdirection, hooping and hollering, moaning in our churches, and preparing again to vote for any white man who smiles at us even though he lies to us. These behaviors are all absolutely useless. Such behaviors are in vain and will take us nowhere. They will all come to naught, and the problem, the war, will simply continue and intensify. The stage has been reached in our experience of captivity out of Africa, wherein we are being challenged to demonstrate a deep self-respect, requiring us to use our whole brain computers, not just the right side, which permits us to engage in rhetoric, rhythm, and rhyme. Now we must begin to exercise and use the left side of our brain computers, the left cerebral hemisphere, which permits us to analyze critically and decode what is happening daily in front of our eyes, and to organize a self and group-respecting behavioral response to that which the environment is presenting us. We must have a disciplined self and group-respecting response to the specific war being waged against us. Without critical thinking, however, there is no self-respect. Without self-respect, there is no courage, no self-defense, no justice, no peace, and no progress. In his struggle against white supremacy, the great leader of the Chinese-speaking non-white people, Chairman Mao Zedong, accurately stated as recorded in the collected works of Mao Zedong, "It is well known that when you do anything unless you understand its actual circumstances, its nature, and its relations to other things, you will not know the laws governing it, or know how to do it, or be able to do it well." With this in mind, all black people everywhere must begin to understand the exact and specific nature of the war that is being waged against the black collective. All black people must begin to understand in depth why we are witnessing black males being shot dead almost daily by white males in uniforms, and why it will soon escalate to more than one per day. Without the specific understanding of why we are seeing this behavior, we are unable to organize behaviors to meet this war strategy effectively. Furthermore, black people everywhere must begin to understand why the black collective, and black males in particular, have been under intensive attack for the past 2,000 years. Indeed, Jesus was a black male who was lynched by uniformed white male Roman soldiers 2,000 years ago, as a result of the same war that has continued into the present-day extension of the same Roman Empire. Whenever there is a sense of increased vulnerability within the local and/or global white collective, as for example caused by inflation, unemployment, loss of a war or counter-struggle by non-white peoples, e.g., Arabs controlling and limiting oil supplies, Iranians taking white hostages, black guerrillas struggling in southern Africa, and the loss of the Vietnam War, there will be an increase of the ever-present normal daily slaughter and murder of black and other non-white males by those both legally and illegally authorized to do so. This murder and slaughter will be logically viewed as justified within the specific logic framework of the fear of white genetic annihilation. Within the historic framework of Western civilization and culture, all white peoples have the spoken or unspoken mandate to participate actively in their collective struggle for global white genetic survival. This specifically means, of necessity, the murder and slaughter of black and other non-white males whenever it is felt within the white collective to be necessary and therefore justified. Because black males, of all non-white males, have the greatest potential to genetically annihilate the white collective, black males will experience the greatest ferocity of white supremacy's attack through justifiable homicide. Because black and other non-white males have the potential to produce white genetic annihilation through the use of their genitalia, and because genetic annihilation is the most fundamental fear of the global white collective, this collective evolved a counterweapon or system of weapons that theoretically could achieve non-white genetic annihilation. The sport of hunting animals in the white supremacy system culture, wherein there is thrill, excitement, and pleasure associated with the killing, is the way in which the white collective stays in physical and psychological readiness for killing black and other non-white males, albeit that this obsessive practice may be functioning at unconscious levels of brain-computer activity. Unlike black and other non-white peoples who killed animals for food and shelter purposes, the white collective engages in this activity as obsessive sport and play. By using the gun against helpless animals, they attempt to achieve a sense of manhood and security. A fleeting sense of manhood can be achieved by the white male sports hunter because in killing the large black or brown animal, there has been a symbolic destruction of the major threat to white genetic survival. Since the achievement, however, is only symbolic, it must be repeated, and so as soon as the hunting season opens, it is time to hunt again. In the same period in which there has been an increasing incidence of justifiable homicide, there has also been an increasing enthusiasm for killing helpless animals, making such hunting locations as Potters County, Pennsylvania, world famous. White adult males have been taught by their fathers to kill and destroy helpless animals for sport, and in turn, the next generation of white males is taught the means by which to ensure white genetic survival. Non-white males may say that they also hunt and enjoy hunting, but obviously hunting does not carry the same unconscious meaning for the non-white male as it does for the white male in the context of the global white supremacy. Furthermore, black males never have gotten a thrill from hunting down white males with dogs and rifles, as has so frequently been practiced by white males against black males. It is absolutely critical that all black people examine and think through the meaning of the following facts. At the very same time, black males are being shot down in the street in ever-increasing numbers. The August 31st, 1980 Washington Post has reported that Poland, a so-called communist country, already is asking the United States to increase credits for grain purchases from $550 million in the current fiscal year to $670 million in the fiscal year that begins October 1 in order to finance the feed grain it needs to build up meat production. Do enemies provide finance for feed grain to build up meat production for one another? On August 12th, the press reported a West German loan of $672 million designed to help bail Poland out of its economic difficulties. On August 22, a consortium led by the Bank of America granted Poland an additional $325 million. A recent unclassified CIA study reveals that the West has lent Poland a total of $21 billion, the bulk of it in the last 5 years. The same study reports that the West has lent the Soviet bloc as a whole an astronomical $78 billion, an amount equal to the total assets of Exxon and General Motors combined. Other experts put the total debt figure well above $100 billion. Why are we bailing Poland and the Soviet Union out of their economic difficulties, feeding them massive transfusions of hard currency to buy bread for their restive masses and technology to boost their obsolescent centralized economies? Why are Western banks relieving the USSR of the expensive burden of propping up the Polish economy and regime? The answer lies in a terse banker's paradox. Make a small loan and you have created a debtor. Make a large loan and you have created a partner. The $1 billion which Western banks have funneled to Poland during the current crisis is a startling political intervention on behalf of that country's communist regime. The critical question for black people is who is the real enemy? While massive numbers of black males are unemployed and increasing numbers are being shot down in the streets in a presumably capitalist country, that same capitalist country is helping white communist countries and their workers return to their jobs and have sufficient meals and other foods on their tables. Basically, the U.S. is supporting the whole white so-called communist bloc. This does not include the Chinese-speaking non-white peoples. What is starkly illustrated here is that capitalism and communism are not two enemies, but simply the two extreme ends of the total spectrum of economic practices under the system of white supremacy, wherein it is of priority that all whites have jobs whether they are at the right or left economic ends of the white supremacy spectrum. The same would be true of the Democratic Party, Republican Party political spectrum, which in this area of the world is the total political spectrum of politics under white supremacy. Also, it must be noted that while black males are being shot down in increasing numbers and experiencing high unemployment, white Cuban communities, in mass numbers, are being admitted to find their places, jobs, and housing in this capitalist country, and are referred to as political refugees. Black Haitians, however, are not admitted and treated similarly. In the global white supremacy system, all persons classified as non-white are outside the white power spectrum and are in effect the real enemy. Thus, they are manipulated and/or eliminated at the will of that power system. In the context of global white supremacy, the only permanent enemies are those persons capable of white genetic annihilation, meaning black and all other non-white peoples. In the most narrow perspective, justifiable homicide refers to the overt shooting murder of a black male or black males by white uniformed male. In a broader perspective, justifiable homicide also can refer to the numerous more subtle tactics of black male control and destruction. To deny black males jobs and genuine upward mobility is to deny them the functional roles of husband and father. To deny black family units functional husbands and fathers on a mass level is to deny these families stability and to deny male children models for adult male functioning. Deprivation of male models for male functioning means permanent black male social dysfunctioning, affecting all areas of people activity for multiple generations. The massive increase of black male bisexuality and homosexuality to epidemic proportions can be correlated directly to the debased functioning of adult black males in black family units by the racist system. The large number of black males engaging in drug use and abuse, including alcohol, also is tied directly to the severely crippled black family structure brought about through systematically denying black males functional roles as husbands and fathers. The massive numbers of black males trapped in the juvenile justice system and the penal system also are related directly to the absence of truly functional fathers and husbands in the homes from which these victimized males have come. Current statistics indicate that among blacks, the proportion of one-parent families is a staggering 49%. This is 83% higher than a decade ago. Poverty rates among one-parent units are enormously higher than among two-parent units. The television media also play a major role in reinforcing the debasement of the black male. Bill Cosby is debased by always being depicted conversing at the level of infants. Muhammad Ali is debased by always being shown clowning, chasing roaches, and biting into sandwiches instead of watermelons. Sherman Hemsley's character, Mr. Jefferson in The Jefferson, is always clowning, acting like a monkey and climbing over furniture, in spite of supposed superior economic attainment. Mr. Jefferson is contrasted to a more intelligent, manly white male who is married to a black female. With the massive failure and absence of black adult male models in family constellations in real life, television provides black male youths with the white father model of the white shadow, conditioning these children to get used to the absence of black adult male models and to look up to the white adult male as the man. This theme is advanced further in Fantasy Island in different strokes. Most black people will look particularly at Gary Coleman and say, He's a millionaire. However, both Gary Coleman and Hervé Villechaize are non-white males, with constitutional and/or genetic deficiencies, causing their physical stature to be abnormally short. Yes, they are indeed excellent actors, but it is their genetic or constitutional abnormality, playing opposite adult white males of normal physical height, that is the core white supremacy presentation in both of these popular television series. The profoundly destructive statement that black and other non-white males are genetically and constitutionally defective compared to white males is the subtle core message that is being propagated over the airways. This image of non-white male genetic and constitutional abnormality is set forth weekly, while as background, newspapers and radios give continuous coverage on the discussion of Nobel Prize winner Dr. William Shockley about the supposed genetic inferiority of black people and the need for their sterilization. Several years ago, the weekly television presentation and promotion of the black male as a female and a transvestite, as portrayed in F. Tip Wilson's role of Geraldine, was a similar undermining of the black male's genetic makeup and masculinity. There is no such similar weekly television portrayal of a well-dressed white male as a female and transvestite in the white supremacy system and culture. Blacks and other non-white people do not perceive these messages because they are blind to the context of the white supremacy power structure that surrounds them. They look at such programs and are pleased. They smile and laugh. Nonetheless, this continued presentation of black genetic inferiority makes the final destruction of blacks appear to blacks themselves as a relief from the burden of their own genetic inadequacy. One can be assured that there will never be a weekly television presentation of a constitutionally and genetically deformed, blue-eyed, blonde, white male playing opposite an intelligently behaving black male of normal stature, as long as the white supremacy system remains intact. These more subtle means of achieving justifiable homicide all serve to advance the ultimate goal of white genetic survival. For, with black adult males unable to function as men, on drugs, in prison, as clowns and buffoons, as infants and perceived as genetic defectives, transvestites and homosexuals, there will not be a major threat of white genetic annihilation, and white genetic survival is assured. The white collective cannot be asked to cease their drive for justifiable homicide in its gross and subtle forms. To do so would mean white suicide. It is therefore the self-respecting task of blacks and all other non-whites to understand the war and the behavioral dynamic of white supremacy, in which they are presently trapped. Through this understanding, we must evolve our own behavior that will eventually checkmate this global white necessity and injustice. Black people may begin by educating all black male children to understand white supremacy, and by putting increased pressure on black males to recognize their role as husbands and fathers. This understanding means that black men must work and provide support for their families, which the white collective attempts to prevent them from doing. Males who do not demand and fight if necessary to have jobs cannot become husbands or fathers. Most certainly, teenage male children cannot become parents, which means that black females will have to learn when and under what circumstances they should relate to black males in the act of sexual intercourse and self-reproduction. This internal pressure to preserve the role of black manhood becomes a means by which the concept of black manhood is developed and preserved by black peoples themselves. This activity will counter the thrust of the black male as female, clown, infant, buffoon, transvestite, homosexual. Black males who are unwilling to fight for their manhood are thereby indicating that they debase black manhood and will not be able to teach it to the next generation. These males do not deserve the privilege of procreating themselves, and this should be enforced by all black females who are self-respecting. White supremacy is war against black people in general and against black males in particular, as embodied in such tactics and strategies as justifiable homicide. It will require a total commitment and counter-war effort on the part of all black peoples to neutralize, by every means at their disposal, this war of racist injustice. As black people, we also can adopt the definition that under the conditions of white supremacy, black manhood does not mean macho or money, but instead it means warrior or soldier against white supremacy, embracing everything that the words warrior or soldier imply. Those who do not wish to be warriors or soldiers should not procreate themselves, as their offspring can be expected to be destroyed by white supremacy anyway. This is by no means a definitive statement on black response to justifiable homicide, but it is an attempt to elevate the discussion on this specific white supremacy war strategy. Further discussion amongst Black people will help to define all necessary Black behavioral response.